Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. I have been hearing so much about this group called Lorna Shore recently. They just released a new single with a new lead singer. It's called To the Hellfire. And man, in comments on YouTube, you guys can't stop talking about it. So that's what we're going to listen to today. I've been hearing things about how Will Ramos is just a total god. Apparently, he's making sounds that a lot of the other vocal coaches also are like, what is this? And so I've been getting all kinds of requests to go in and analyze it. I think this is going to be really fun. To my understanding, Lorna Shore has been around for a while. I've just never heard them yet. And Will Ramos is a recent addition. He joined the band planning to be a temporary join during a tour in 2020. And then this, I believe, is the first big single that they've released with him being their official lead singer. So I'm excited. I want to know what the buzz is about. Let's get to it. He sounds like a demon. Like immediately, this sounds like some soul-sucking creature from Diablo. Yeah, that's it. Wow. Wow. The sound is so high. Like, yes, obviously you don't have like a true a pitch that you're hearing when you hear these kinds of harsh vocals, but the overall sound of it is really, really high. I'm wondering, is this just created by him? Have they done anything in production to raise the overall pitch? I don't know. It's terrifying. Maybe it sounds like a Nazgul. Oh gosh. It's also a really nice contrast from this acoustic guitar at the beginning. This is mind-boggling. Okay, I understand now why people are going, how is he making this sound? This is crazy. And that's so interesting. It's some of the most uh, high-pitched harsh vocals I think I've heard. There's a lot of like really nice continuity to it as well, though. It's not like it doesn't sound like there's too much irregularity in the sound. Like it's a very consistent noise that is fairly high pitched. It reminds me a little bit of like a Rob Halford high falsetto fry, essentially, but you have no falsetto underneath that. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the mechanisms that we know are involved in creating harsh vocals versus clean vocals. So I keep referring to pitch, but if you were to look at the frequencies, like this isn't happening at 440 times per second, right? Instead, you have essentially a spectrum of noise overall and a way that it's centered. If you think about an S, the sibilance of that is actually centered very, very high in frequencies. You're talking like maybe, I know I have ones that pop sometimes around like 16 kilohertz, maybe more close to like 15 or 14, depending on the day. So this is going to sit up there. I mean, I would love to take a Man, I might actually in post take like a little snippet and show you what this vocal looks like in a spectrogram and put it in right here, just so you know. So that way you can see where exactly some of these noises are dwelling. So you see where that boost in the frequency is, okay? We'll put it in post, promising you it's gonna happen. So when you're making these kinds of sounds in the vocal tract, these are all supraglottal, meaning that where your larynx, people talk about larynx and they talk about vocal folds, and often they think it's all just one thing. It isn't. You have different layers that go through your larynx, and at the very bottom are your true vocal folds. And that is where your typical pitch, like that, is coming from your true vocal folds vibrating together. The kind of sounds that he is making are being made above that. So supraglottal. The glottis is where that closure is from the true vocal folds. So supraglottal. And essentially it's like different sphincters along the way that can come together and disturb the air movement as it's coming up. And that sort of shakes up the sound. And when that air movement then comes and hits our eardrums, we get an impression of noise in some way. For me, it's very interesting because there's not enough research that's really done in this area. But a lot of times really high sounds like this are also going to be made higher in the vocal tract. So you essentially have three main areas that they know help with harsh glottals or harsh sounds. You have the vestibular folds or the false folds. Then you have the arioglottic folds, which is a little bit above that. They're more cartilaginous, often associated with like the Louis Armstrong kind of growl. And then above that, you have the arytenoid cartilages, which can do some rattling. And there's some other things also up in that area that can rattle, like even your uvula can rattle, right? So this sounds extremely, extremely high. I would venture to say it's probably not false folds. Those tend to have a little bit more of a rumbly kind of sound to them. But beyond that, like, can we really be sure? No, because there's so little research done. We need more cameras down throats to know about this. I'm going to go back because this is really intense and I think it's fascinating. Let's go back here a little bit too. So in this part, he does have a lower sound that's happening there and a higher. So it's very possible that he's actually engaging a couple different spots in that vocal tract. It's cool. Lots of cuts. Goodness, this is so nuts. Okay, you can hear really clearly like what these sounds are like when they're low and high. Like you're getting I think a good idea that the lower rumbles in there, I feel like that might have been more false fold association, but also it has to do with the shape of the mouth, right? The mouth elongating is going to create a lower timbre overall, essentially. Oh my gosh, this is really super fascinating. I also just have to say, it sometimes sounds like burping. You know, burping is made in your esophagus, you know, not on top of your trachea. It's from air that's coming up from your stomach, okay? So they're made in two different places. They're both in your throat, but they're essentially coming from two different tubes. So to be clear, this isn't burping, but it sometimes just makes me think it's like burp metal, which probably exists as well. Okay, oh my goodness, back. I can't, there's too much happening. I love that tempo shift. like from the super low sound and then actually follow it all the way up. Oh man, he's got really good breath control. Oh, it's crazy. I have to say, if you have not heard this yet in a good set of headphones, you should. I'm really curious about the production end on this, and I'm super thankful at this moment that I have headphones that are just able to really, I feel like it gives me distinct impressions of the different textures that he's creating. And then right in this area, it sounded like it almost like got more stereo. So I wonder if in production they essentially doubled his voice at that point or even widened the sound, the stereo imaging as we would call it. I love these ones. We'll post a link to them down below in the about section. These are DT 1990s. These are Bear Dynamic headphones in general. I very much recommend them. This is the open backed version, which gives me, I feel, an even better sense of spaciousness. But for if you want to keep it quiet and you don't want your coworkers to know that you're listening in the audience to this or in the office to this, then I suggest you get the closed back version, which I will also link to in the about section. But get yourself a good pair of headphones because this is really cool to hear all of the different kinds of textures. It's so intricate. It's very mind-boggling. I don't think I would have gotten that sound on a different pair. It's just crazy. Whoa. Really great slam there. I love it. We just had a bunch of like more operatic, no, not operatic, I would say big chorus vocals enter into the background. If you have Hellfire in the title, you need to in some way for me harken back to Hellfire from Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that we just had like a cathedral feeling start to happen, which works for that. Oh my gosh, I'm pausing so much. It's just so fascinating to me, the sounds. Another thing that is coming to mind that I'm super curious about if they have crossover in this technique or not when using harsh vocals is vowel modification. Because I understand more words when he's in a lower rumbly sound. And that very much tracks with what we understand about formants and vowel modification. So in general, words are going to be easier to understand because of a bunch of acoustic things that happen in your throat. We're not going to go into formants like crazy because they're very intense, and we've already talked very intensely about so much vocal technique today. But basically, when you get really, really high, it's really difficult to understand the words because of certain resonances in the vocal tract. And when he's really high here, I have problems understanding him. But when he's lower, I get some of the words. So I'm really curious, a lot of times to help adjust to that and get a better sound, singers just need to open their mouths more when they're higher, but like good luck being understood regardless when you're super duper high. Let's go back a little bit and listen to how you might change the shape or the clarity of the words if they're lower high. That sounded like the most yummy burp. It was a very long one, but that's what made it partly really good. And one of the things that's also fascinating me, and just I want to ask so many questions about how they produce this kind of vocal. It seems like when you have lows, there's a slightly different production from when you have highs, which definitely tracks with how I would produce my own voice when singing low or high, like in an a cappella or vocal thing. And, with the highs, I would probably choose to put it a little further. You give it some more pre-delay, essentially, maybe a little more verb overall. Lows, I might bring a little bit closer into the microphone. So I'm super curious, like, what is this recording technique? I would guess that the lows do sound like they're a little bit closer to the mic to me. But there was another point earlier when I noticed a significant shift in essentially the verb on two different parts. There's obviously some layering that's happening in here where we've had multiple harsh vocals recorded. And I can tell that because of different timing that's happening. But it is sometimes difficult for me to tell when there are harsh vocals that are completely synchronized, if that was just one take or if there are two takes on top of it. And I think that's partly because it seems like he's using maybe different parts of his throat to essentially create those distortions. Let's go back to the really satisfying burp. Whoa. Or this could be a character from Dark Souls. All of my references are video games, I know, but he is a video game monster. I feel like I am currently locked in battle with a boss. It's really awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I really think that higher part that he was making earlier was a different part of his vocal tract, and this lower one is a different part. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of change within the mouth shape for those two types there. So that makes me think that if the mouth, like essentially if the filter is not changing in some way, then that means that the source is going to be changing in some way. Then again, he could be doing something inside the filter, so it might be like back at the soft palate essentially, where something is changing that's causing that big shift in resonance. But to me, I think that he's essentially shifting, maybe one is like essentially the arytenoids on the top, because Fry is often associated with arytenoids, but and then maybe one is your false folds. Let's catch that change shift again. Oh, God. That's a perfect example of a place where I'm not sure if this was one take or if this is a couple takes layered on top of each other. I think it's so funny. I think he keeps saying my final breath swallowed by the womb of death, which is really funny because he's got great breath control that might be imbued by his agreement with a darker power. I feel like this is wizardry, what is happening here. So he must be a warlock of some sort that has agreed and has gained power over breath and vocal control. And it's crazy. production there highlighted his vocal more. And we had, it's been just this sort of blast of beats, literally the whole time. And it's just been a wall of sound. It's been going. We had that acoustic guitar at the very beginning, and I'd almost forgotten about it at this point. And right here, having a lot of the instrumental stripped away suddenly let us hear even more details in the voice. Really cool way to highlight it. Oh, let's go back a little more. It almost sounds sad now. Oh, dang. That was a really cool solo. I keep thinking about a recent Beat Saber thing I was playing, suggested by one of our patrons, Pia, who this song was basically a metal version of the third movement of the Moonlight Sonata. And I remember being in a practice room and playing that and how difficult it was. And I have, lots of fingers that I can switch to various fast notes. And the guitar, you're more limited. You've got less fingers to work with than you do on the piano, essentially, for changing notes. And it's so cool to hear them go so quickly through all of these notes. It's so virtuosic. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's go back and listen to it again. Or just at least a piece of it. I didn't think that this was gonna get any crazier. Oh, I feel myself hyperventilating. Oh my goodness. Whew. That was crazy. It sounded for a moment like he might have actually engaged a little bit of truefold to get that super extra low sound. It sounded almost like a subharmonic that he just touched on, but I can't even say. All I know is my stomach just dropped. I felt like I couldn't breathe for a moment and I had to, wow. Okay, we're gonna go back a little further. Oh God. Oh my goodness. I feel like we just either slayed or were slayed by the creature from Stranger Things. It's just, oh my goodness. It makes my stomach rumble. It makes my breathing have difficulties. We're going back and listening to it again because that is such an experience. It's like I'm on a theme park ride. Oh, crazy. High, low, crazy, ooh, dying. Oh, I want to go back here. This actually has some saliva rattle in it. So when I talked about other things that can rattle, this has saliva rattle. I think it's right about here. Oh, yep. Ah, saliva rattle. Oh, gosh. That might be one of the most shocking songs I've ever heard. And all of those sounds, oh my gosh. It's really it's a combination of so enthralling and scary. It definitely made my stomach flip and turn. And at the same time, he's able to keep them going for so long. You know, if you're doing this the wrong way, you're gonna probably cough a bunch. You'll feel like, oh wow, that really feels bad. To be able to keep going for such a long time, I wish that I had like a little snippet of him singing right afterwards too, just to say like, hey, nice clean vocal. He's been doing all of this with the other stuff that so that his true vocal folds are left alone and really pretty and pristine. Anyhow, it's so cool to hear how much control he has over so many different aspects of his entire area here. Like we're talking face to shape the sound. We're talking like back of throat as well. So like that soft palate, the pharyngeal wall, all that good stuff. He's got control that's going down into here. And hey, you know what? If he burped in there too, I wouldn't be surprised. There's so much that was happening and the control. It was nuts, nuts, nuts. Wow. Okay, I get it. Yeah. This is off the charts. It's deserving of all of the praise, of all of the hype, 100%. What a crazy experience. I I feel like it's the kind of thing you just have to go back to and listen to over and over and over. Whoa. Whoa. Amazing. Thank you so much for this recommendation. Please, if you want to make more recommendations, you can do that in the comments below this YouTube video. That's where we see them and track them the most. You can also come and find me here every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Arizona time. That's when we have premieres, and there's a live chat where you can come and chat with me and we can get to know each other better. I love getting to know all of our viewers, so please come and say hello. And you can also find me on Patreon, where we do play lots of video games, but also we just talk about music. It's cool. And if you want to learn more about like clean singing or music in general, I have courses on that at thecharismaticvoice.com. I'll see you somewhere soon.